Hey, what up, everybody out there? This is Duran. I got one off the cuff. Today is April 29th, 2025. So many things happening, and the procrastinator in me wants to wait for an opportunity to kind of chunk all of the events together and stream it along in a perfect type of timeline chronologically to emphasize all of these significant milestones along the path that we've been on, just in notable daily significant events. But it's not possible for me to do that, so I'm gonna try to get better at just doing what off the cuff is. It's just coming straight off the cuff. So let's go. Like I said, today is Tuesday, April 29th. Yesterday, a very significant event occurred in Portugal, Spain. There was a power outage. I believe it happened in the latter part of their morning. I want to say it was like a 10:30, 11 o'clock type of thing. And obviously it impacted the way that part of the world functioned. Now, since that it happened, I understand that the majority of the power has been restored, but it impacted areas of Spain and France, and you can only imagine what that was like. I saw some footage of train stations, stop traffic lights, businesses unable to operate as they normally would due to the outages. Now, why is that significant, you might ask? Because, sure, you might think that these type of things happen all the time. It's just not often televised and, mentioned often. But as I had recent conversations with some other loved ones, I think about how if something happens over here, we put a little dot on the bulletin board, and then if something similar happens over there, we put another little dot on the bulletin board, and we see how these things are tethered and connected. Why do I say that? Well, prior to the the celebration of Easter this year, the very same thing occurred in Puerto Rico. That whole area lost power as well. Now, I haven't done my fact checking on any of that, but I believe that they might still be without power in their grid, which, you can only imagine. Here we are in this technological era of human history, and to not be able to turn on your washer and dryer or warm up something in the microwave and Netflix and chill anymore would be devastating for this type of society that we live in. But that's what happened over there. As I just mentioned, similar thing just happened in Portugal. But what I think it is like a precursor of greater things to come. Well, why do I say that? Well, because during the hot months of summer, it was not uncommon for there to be a lot of media discussing brownouts, areas and regions that had significant outages for periods of time due to extreme heat. People were running their air conditioners. The argument was that the grid was unable to sustain the heavy demand of the circuits, that were running full blaze while, people were trying to run their air conditioners, especially in areas of Texas and stuff like that. So much so that it became commonplace, if you can imagine this, that it would be like a revolving, rotating schedule where, this county would have a certain measure of time where they would incur an outage, and it was expected. It was presented in such a way that they were not, blindsided with the outage, and it would just be a revolving, rotating type of schedule throughout that region. I guess for whatever reason they decided that was a better approach to a problem that they kind of just put duct tape on to try to get them by through the season, if you will. But no one likes to be without power, except for, maybe the Amish. I got a lot of respect for them in my in my adulthood. I think in the way that we looked at how we live and everything else like that, we kind of turned our nose up to them while we were, spinning Cash Money records in our CD changers, letting the record spin, talking about bling bling, Diddy and, Biggie and Mason, all of them. But I know, sidetrack. But the point of this is that these events have been happening more often, more frequently, and more widespread. What does that mean for the future? Well, you really got to scratch your head and ask that question, because after all, they're trying to push all EV, all in type of policy with vehicles and everything else. There's greater discussions and arguments for carbon tax that dissuades people from frequent traveling and minimizing your carbon footprint, fewer vacations and trips, keep your gas guzzlers parked, and so on and so forth. So another aspect that I would like to touch on related to the outages is, what does that mean for just daily living? If you don't have items in your pantry and you need to run down the street to Wally World or your nearest grocer, and they say, sorry, we have the goods, but we don't have a method to do the exchange because our power is out, our generators won't work, or whatever the case may be, they would not have the means to do the sale and exchange of goods and services. If power were to be out for a sustained amount of time, I think about certain stores like let's say like Dollar Generals, in, let's call them rural areas, or urban areas I should say, where there's high shrinkage and theft. A lot of items are put in a case. You need to get a clerk that can get you access to those goods, because over-the-counter medications or razor blades or those types of things, you can't just walk over to the shelf and just, oh, don't take this one. No, you might lift the case and it'll set off an audible alarm. You might have an extra layer of surveillance on that area of the store to just let you know we're present, watching you, surveilling you and your actions. Or, like I said, it might actually require a store clerk to, get the store key to get you access to whatever, items you're trying to obtain. All of that stops if the power goes out. And that will be a large inconvenience for a lot of people that are just looking for their day-to-day, goods and services and things of that sort, because who wants to be inconvenienced when you're going to a convenience store, right? Well, we're on the cusp of that type of reality, unfortunately. And the last layer that I'll add to this is, you'll have to tune in next time. Actually, I'm going to put this in another video. So thanks for listening. This one's getting a little long-winded, but I thank you and I appreciate you for checking this out, listening, just pondering thoughts, relevant information that's happening here around town, where your family might live, elsewhere. But I'm off the cuff. Duran, peace.